This video is going to concern the legislation around shielding laws for large corporations like YouTube. I am not a lawyer, but I have experienced this moderation that it's normally about and how it's being twisted. YouTube's recommended algorithm, the U.S. Supreme Court, and a lawsuit concerning a specific incident, but in general other things. If you're not aware of it, the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, has been used to shield large tech corporations from liability for moderating their platform, for moderation decisions done by humans, is the presumption of it, although it's not spelled out. What about artificial intelligence or algorithm-based recommendations or actions taken against channels done by a bot instead of a human? Once you get beyond a certain number of users, it really is impossible to hire enough people to do this. You can have community-based policing where people who flag videos are given more weight than people who defend them, and it forces you to actually have the video evaluated. But again, if you get so many complaints a day, suddenly it's unmanageable. So you have an AI bot analyzing the video. Hence, me getting flagged for insulting the memory of Adolf Hitler. Or being flagged, because I was insulting him, or being flagged for a video that didn't actually exist. The bot makes mistakes, and YouTube is essentially saying they don't have time to fix it. The bot they use for recommendations, most of you would consider broken too, but it's their bread and butter as Google, because part of what it does when you look up something, to Google something, they also show you advertisements for things that are somewhat related. If it doesn't work, if that algorithm doesn't work for recommendations, YouTube isn't going to make money because the advertisers are paying for that routine to work correctly. And as I've stated repeatedly, YouTube's algorithm gets it wrong way too often, and they don't correct it. Now, again, recently, one of my channels was taken down entirely because YouTube's algorithm made 3 mistakes in a row, almost exactly a month apart, and shut down my channel, like it's picking an argument with me. I mean, it's flagging shit that couldn't possibly be flagged. Except there is an excuse, and the specific excuse was they should have warned people if you have any links in your video. And even if those links suddenly turn rogue, or if they ever were rogue, your video is going to get flagged. But instead of doing the logical thing of just removing the link, or maybe destroying the video, which is what they used to do, they decided they should flag your channel for it. Because their presumption of guilt here is they're assuming you did this on purpose. Because a bunch of people have been doing that lately. They've been porn linking everything. But that's not, but the claim against my videos wasn't like that, right? Well, no, they assigned a porn link complaint about a link that went nowhere near it. So, is that protected? Now remember, I'm the kind of person who'd file a lawsuit saying, you labeled one of my dead channels to be endangering of children or something. I mean, it didn't do that, but it said I violated a bunch of rules when I didn't. I could claim that that's a form of defamation or libel, but they're shielded because that was a decision. No, it's not, because the shielding under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act is for active manual moderation, or the lack thereof. The website is considered immune based on what other people do. Uploading a video, you can't blame YouTube for the video being uploaded, but they have to be able to moderate it. So it's sort of a compromise. They're safe harbored as long as they don't do any harm. Well, no, they can do harm. They're just immune from prosecution. It's that they can't be held liable if it's done as content moderation decisions. But that doesn't mean that it can be AI-based. And it's been so utterly hammered by them screwing up. That's obviously the reason, because again, they had a video up that was pro-ISIS, and it got recommended. Because they used the right keyword, because someone Google whacked it, because someone search engine optimized it, SEO did. That's not what's causing this lawsuit. It isn't. It's that YouTube flagged people who put up propaganda and made them take it down, or deranked them and doesn't recommend them anymore. But that's not what the case is about. It doesn't matter what the case says it's about. It's about opening them up to lawsuits to intimidate them and push them. I'm one of many victims of YouTube's algorithm. But the timing with the U.S. Supreme Court, or whatever court it's going through, if it's the U.S. Supreme Court, being primarily bent conservative and ass-kissing towards a particular ideology that is anti-American as hell. Trumpism. It is. Don't care if you like hearing it. You don't understand it until they start finding ovens in your town. Then you realize how you were on the wrong side of history. And then you have to spend 50 or more years living with that. And you may have noticed some people are still in denial of that because they don't want the guilt. This is nowhere near that, right? I'm in a country where a political party's subsection, a subculture in it, tried to overthrow the U.S. government. If liberals did it, the conservatives would be screaming that. And they know that because they screamed that when they assumed that was happening, because they made up a big boogeyman out of every group they could see that wasn't part of theirs. It's all part of some horrible overthrow of the U.S. government. But when it literally happens at the Capitol, they stick their head up their ass and lie and lie and lie and lie. But let's get back to the reality of this court case. This is about whether a bot can be used to content moderate in any way that would still be the same as, quote, content moderation decisions by a company. Companies are made of a lot of people. They all act like little robots. You could argue that. But there has to be a human element. That's implied but not explicitly said. Do you want an AI bot to make these decisions? I'm going to explain this to you quickly. It has to. There has to be a bot involved for first layer. And it has to be corrected by manual review and by ordinary people actually watching the video, putting in the time to watch the video. I make a 15-minute video about how Bill Gates is not is not responsible for or trying to kill people in Africa. Because he's not. Period. He didn't do that. It's a lie. Someone evaluates that as me saying he did it would have to be fucking dumb. And I'm saying that openly. That should correct the bot, and the bot be told, these are the key points in the video you ignored. Where he said the word not. Or he said debunk. And then the bot would work well. But that would require a volunteer force, because you could never hire this number of people. Of people like you and me being asked, would you like to evaluate some videos at random to see if they violate any policy at YouTube or in any way really offend you? And more importantly, if they state something, and I'm putting this in, that is non-factual. If I'm debunking a conspiracy theory or a lie, I have to mention what the lie is. So I am in absolutes stating what the lie is. I'm not agreeing with it. That's a very subtle difference that a bot can't do. Or you can do what we really do on the internet when we do content moderation. When we find out that a channel keeps getting flagged, or a user account keeps getting flagged for violations they're not guilty of, we don't let anybody flag them anymore. We don't. They're not some are more equal than others. It's that somebody's attacking. If the bot makes a mistake, you tell it stop staring at the count. It's obviously screwing it up because it's an outlier. My videos are an outlier because I literally do both sides. I present both sides of an argument. I explain it. And that means I'm, at least technically, making statements that are bad because I'm debunking them. If I just say I'm debunking something without mentioning what the fuck it is, I'm not debunking any damn thing. I can't tell you that 2 plus 2 is 4 instead of 2 plus 2 is 5 unless I mention the wrong answer being 5. I don't have a choice. I am compelled to do this by doing a proper job explaining the subject. So the Supreme Court deciding yes or no, do we allow an AI routine do recommendations, really is also going to affect whether or not the AI flags us, because that's the actual content moderation they're referring to. Taking down channels, taking down content, not just recommending it, but unrecommending or deranking it. And I have suffered the slings and arrows of being put into the derank category that I don't believe I belong in, and most people don't believe I belong in. If anyone wants to state an opinion on it, it will not affect anything. If it's the U.S. Supreme Court, they're insulated from public opinion because there are no consequences. They cannot be forced out of position. It's by the nature that it is the Supreme Court. It is not its nature that it should have some asshole put people in there who will be there if he needs them when he's brought to task for stealing documents and taking them to his house and refusing to give them back, which is not the same thing as a former vice president having shit at his home or an office and it being 1/10 or 1/100th the amount of shit. No, Biden doing this is not the same as Trump. One of my viewers, that's actually a good viewer, made that assertion almost. He was trying to dance around it. I'm not. They're not the same thing. And yes, Biden should be punished. Yes, I said it. He should have his, as soon as he's out of office, because he's insulated while in office, he should have his top secret ranking or whatever removed, which happens to virtually everybody else when they stop being president. That would also preclude him from being a second term. I'm okay with that, because it's a mistake, and I would hold everybody to that standard. You can't fuck up. It's not acceptable. Period. Same rule I'd apply to Trump. Immediately. I don't care who's president. I just don't want them to make a mistake. Bidenism isn't as much of an asshole, in my opinion, as Trump. But it's the same violation, in my opinion. Well, no. Trump did it intentionally, and I don't believe Biden did it intentionally. So maybe he'd get a pass. That's someone else's decision, not mine or yours. Trump overtly did this on purpose. He overtly did this for self-aggrandization, if not for personal gain or financial. And he resisted undoing the damage. It's overtly illegal for him to do it. There isn't any discussion about it. He broke a law on purpose to prove he could get away with it. Because he's an arrogant dick. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. As for this algorithm suit, be careful what you wish for. If they don't allow this to fall into the same rule set, I mean, I agree that it should be regulated better, but they should be compelled to do a better job, which means they should correct the bot. If the ideal system is you'd have a system that would catch a big, net, a dragnet of shit, and then wean it down to the stuff that should be excluded or included or upvoted or downvoted. That's not how it can do anymore, unless you have a vast number of people who are willing to volunteer. Instead of us being asked to take surveys, we should be asked, would you like to moderate some videos today? And if we don't fuck up, we get to keep doing it. We can moderate each other. That's how it should be in a community. Right now, we're a bunch of slaves working in a mine. Next, we don't get to be as much of a slave, I suppose. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. This has been an uninitiated, unrequested opinion given up by WebTech. But again, we're not going to have any effect on this. We just get to sit on the sidelines and watch, right?